Hello and welcome to Devotion to Writing, a channel devoted to helping you cultivate a daily writing practice and realize you are creative abundance. Do the dishes, sweep the floor, make the bed, write. Whatever you do, do it with all your senses. The world is so alive. The more we are alive to it, present, sensing it, the more it reveals to us. The world opens as wide as you are able to open, and only that wide. The world opens as wide as you are able to open, and only that wide. I remember I read this by Marina Popova. She says, "If you live long enough and wide enough, you come to see that love is simply the breadth of the aperture through which you let in the reality of another, and the quality of attention you pay what you see. It is in this sense not a phenomenon, love, that happens unto you, but it is a creative act." Wow, love is a creative act. I remember when I read that, I felt what a challenge to live wide enough, to be an aperture held open to the world so wide that love is created, that a flow is created. And anytime we are open, that we are present, anytime we are present, we open, and the world opens to us. We open ourselves to the simple beauty of what is, even doing the dishes. We feel the water, we see the reflections of the faucet and the sponge and the bubbles, we hear the water drip. Presence is a practice. We can cultivate it. When we write, we can also cultivate the practice of being present. We can cultivate our presence, being present with ourselves in the moment, in the sensation of our being, feeling alive, with our memories, our stories, in our bodies. We can practice staying present and staying open. I remember I was in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico for New Year's. This was maybe 10 years ago. And I was in the main Jardín, the main plaza. It was maybe 15 minutes before midnight, and the crowd was starting to gather to watch the fireworks. And as I'm standing there in the crowd, just kind of looking around, this woman next to me make eye contact, and she starts talking with me in Spanish. Now, I can understand some Spanish, but I am not conversational. And but she talks to me, and I apologize. I say in my poor Spanish, I don't speak Spanish. I'm sorry, but she continues to talk, and she's talking, and she's holding a child who's kind of falling asleep on her shoulder. I think she's telling me a story. I remember just whatever she is saying, it seemed really important and urgent to her, like she had to speak it. She had to get it out. And just feeling this need from her to tell me whatever it was she was speaking, I felt like my service was to listen. And so that's what I did. And as she spoke, we kind of moved away from the crowd, and we sat on a bench, and the child was falling asleep in her lap, and I just listened. And she spoke very urgently. I didn't understand much of what she said, but it seemed, well, I know it was quite important that she spoke it. And when she finished, she squeezed my hand and said, "Gracias." That was it. Watched the fireworks. I went back to my hotel, and back in the room, I wrote a poem. I wrote a poem about this encounter. The last lines were, "I listened. That's all I did. And two strangers, we were no longer strange, just openings between which God flew." So call this energy whatever you would like, call it God, call it love. But when we open to what is, when we give our full undivided attention, which Simone Weil called a form of prayer, there is love exchanged, there is divinity exchanged, there is God exchanged. We feel and we receive an exchange of energy. It's not a phenomenon. It's not a fleeting thing, but an act of our creation by us being present. And so, back to this prompt that I was started with, like doing the dishes. That's what I'm working towards. Do the dishes and really do them. Be with the act with all of your senses. Thich Nhat Hanh writes about washing dishes, quote, "If while washing dishes we think only of the cup of tea that awaits us, thus hurrying to get the dishes out of the way, as if they were a nuisance, then we are not washing the dishes to wash the dishes. And what's more," he goes on, "we are not alive during the time we are washing the dishes. We are not alive during the time we are washing the dishes. In fact, we are completely incapable of realizing the miracle of life while standing at the sink. If we can't wash the dishes, the chances are we won't be able to drink our tea either. And the chances are we won't be able to write either." And this is how doing the dishes applies to writing, doing anything, and how writing itself applies to living, and how writing is an opportunity to practice being mindful, bringing ourselves present with ourselves. If we can write, if we can do the dishes with all of our senses, our thoughts present with them as we are writing, drawing on our own experiences, if we can touch and smell and hear and breathe and get tired and feel inspired, the quality of our presence is applied to the page. It's applied as memory. It's applied as imagination. We glean from our experiences and we describe this deeply, but we have to have had lived that experience deeply. We have had to have lived the experience deeply. Our ability to be present, to be attentive to our story, to our poem, to a scene, to an image that we're trying to render is an ability we can cultivate. And we can practice it when we're writing, but we can also practice it when we're doing the dishes by simply noticing what is happening, what we are doing, being present, bringing ourselves present and embracing, devouring as much as we can, being alive to the moment. I remember that sitting on that bench, listening to the woman, there was a crescent moon overhead in the trees, and a mariachi band was playing down on the corner, and there was the smell of corn roasting and lime, and the sticky red lollipop about to fall from her child's sleeping hand. And I remember the warmth of her eyes, and I remember feeling my own heart beating in my throat, and just this peacefulness, this harmony between me and her and everyone in the garden. We were all together. Writing is just another opportunity we have, like each moment of each day, to be alive in the moment. Do the dishes, make the bed, wash the clothes, walk the dog, sweep the floor, be in awe, and write about it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe. If you did, please like it. Please share it with a friend, with someone who you think might benefit from it. And one further thing, I have an announcement. On March the 25th, I will be starting a 5-week online Zoom workshop from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, United States. That's a Tuesday night, March 25th. It'll go for 5 weeks, which is means it would end on April the 22nd. If you are interested in registering for that online workshop to help you cultivate your daily writing practice, you can visit devotiontowriting.com and register, or you could just message me or send me a comment, and I can get you set up. I would love to see you there. I hope you write deeply today. I know that if you do write, you will write beautifully, because beautiful is what you are. Thank you, and blessings.